In a house of mysteries, a research team with special powers has uncovered an ancient secret. But they are playing with an evil force. They have given life to a deadly power. And now a box of little toys has become a gang of little terrors. Pinhead, Blade, Ms. Leach, Jester, and Tunneler. Irene Miracle, Paul Lamont, Barbara Crampton, and William Hickey as the Puppet Master.
We are reviewing the 1989 straight-to-video horror. I wouldn't say classic, but it's schlock, it's fun, and it spawned an entire franchise plus a spin-off trilogy, Puppet Master. It was originally intended for theatrical release in the summer of 1989. Puppet Master was ultimately pushed to a direct-to-video release on October 12, 1989. It was likely they wanted to make more money, and this was the way to do it. Comparatively speaking to the theatrical market, straight-to-video was the way to go. It was directed by David Schmoller, whose only notable credit is directing 6 episodes of Silk Stockings in 1992 to 1993. It was written by Kenneth Hall, who has 18 writing credits, 5 directing credits, 4 producer, 19 special effects credits. His career highlight was being the writer of Linnea Quigley's horror workout video, and also written by Charles Band, who has 356 producer credits. No, I double-checked it, including Corona-exploitation films starting in 2020, horror, and a lot of porn. He has 61 writing credits, 73 directing credits. Puppet Master was distributed by Paramount Pictures and was produced by Full Moon Features, and as I stated earlier, was released October 12th, 1989. It stars Paul Lamont as Alex Whitaker, William Hickey as Andre Toulon, Irene Miracle as Dana Hadley, Jimmy F. Skaggs as Neil Gallagher, Robin Freites as Megan Gallagher, Matt Rowe as Frank Forrester, Catherine O'Reilly as Carissa Stanford, and Muse Small as Teresa. And there are more people in the cast than this, but they're fairly inconsequential. Outside of the only speaking part really would be Barbara Crampton, who was only in the beginning scene of the movie for about 3 minutes. Our movie begins in 1939 with the character of Andre Toulon, played by the legendary William Hickey, who creates the puppets and brings them to life through the ancient art of alchemy. And the entire plot of the movie will revolve around the pursuits of the secrets of alchemy and eternal life. Early on, we see that one of the puppets is moving about without being controlled, and we get a point of view from another puppet who's outside of the hotel. And this is revealed to be Blade, who is basically the de facto leader of the evil miniatures. The point of view shot with Blade running around the exterior, and he sees a pair of assassins who he recognizes, and I don't for the life of me know how, and he knows that they're after his master Toulon. This is kind of a neat vantage point and effect, despite it previously being used in other killer toy movies, i.e. Child's Play, but it worked nonetheless. What made it a little bit neater is that you hear the puppets making noises like exertion, grunts, and that's why I think this is kind of a neat feature. And the fact is kind of cool that each of the main puppets was individual, and they had an individual voice actor performing their sounds, but none of them actually speak. Toulon is hiding the puppets in a trunk, which he puts in the wall, replaces the panel that covers the secret opening, sits in a chair, and then promptly swallows a bullet moments before the assassins burst in and find him dead. After that, we flash forward to the present and to Yale University to briefly be introduced to the character of Alex Whitaker, who's the leading man in this movie, yet we get to know little to no background information on him, or any of the main characters for that matter, which is a pretty well-known trope in the horror genre. One-dimensional characters with no development that are simply meant to be fodder ripe for the gory picking. Alex and the rest of the cast, which we'll get to in a moment, are all psychics of some sort, and that is their connection to the story that draws them all to the Bodega Bay Hotel in California. Back to our introductions. Next we meet Dana the Fortune Teller, who's played by Irene Miracle. We meet her at a carnival, then we meet Frank Forrester and Carissa Stanford, who are researchers and each have their own abilities, such as being able to see past events through objects, and they were all associates of Neil Gallagher, who they learn has died, and that's the reason they all meet at the Bodega Bay Hotel after they each receive a psychic signal from Neil upon his demise. When all four of our psychics meet at the hotel, they're greeted by Neil's widow, who, despite their collective abilities, they weren't aware he was married. Turns out Neil married her because her parents owned the hotel, and he wanted free reign to search it for Toulon's secrets, knowing that was where he died. So I must inform you, it's at this point in the review where I tell you that 2 out of the 3 acts of this movie are just boring. And that includes the second act where most of the cast is killed off and what are some decent visual deaths for the most part. And the worst part is you literally feel nothing as they're picked off one by one. And I have to say that even though the scenes and the implications of them getting killed by the puppets are cool, if you're wondering where a lot of the missing details are in the story, relax, because I'm going to explain that right now. We get a dinner scene that provides an exposition dump because this movie had an hour and 28-minute runtime, so there really wasn't a lot of time to get into deep backstories. So Alex and Megan Gallagher, who is Neil's widow, as I mentioned earlier, are outside as Frank, Carissa, and Dana eat, and the dialogue fills in all the blanks. Basically, Neil brought them all together to unlock the secrets of alchemy, and that is the rest of the setup for the main plot. I know, it's pretty thin, but this was never going to be a masterpiece. We're talking straight to video here, not Casablanca.
He's looking at you, kid.
Let's get to the deaths, because they're basically the only entertaining part of the movie that's left, and we'll start with the housekeeper, Teresa, who was warned by Dana to stay away from the fireplace, which turned out to be sage advice. Pinhead crawls out of Neil's coffin, grabbed the fireplace poker, and tuned up the band on the side of her head. We get a blood spatter and an off-camera death for the help.
No, 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 no.
Next up, we have Carissa and Frank, and they're taking part in an experiment, aka getting ready to shag, when we see the scrapped early plans for 50 Shades of Grey as Carissa ties up Frank by the wrists and blindfolds him, and it's sexy time. But Tunneler has other ideas, as he's decided to make this an uncomfortable three-way. But Carissa objects, so he drills her face off camera, and all we get is a bloody hand on the side of the bed. And, oh yeah, Frank is still blindfolded and tied up. So Leech Woman starts kissing on his chest, then regurgitates leeches all over him, and he's killed off camera as well. Not the ideal way to finish a menage a trois, but who am I to judge? Next up, Dana, the tarot-reading fortune teller. She finds the corpse of Neil Gallagher propped up in a room with a drink in his hand, and her reaction is not quite as panicked as one would think to finding a corpse in their room with a drink in their hand and no explanation as to how it got there. So, to exacerbate the situation, Pinhead snaps her ankle and gives her something to panic about. So she crawls out into the hallway and has to fend off Pinhead and throws him down the stairs. The funniest part is the visuals of a puppet punching her in their face in the elevator. Where have I seen this before? Dana thought she was safe, but Blade was waiting for her and slits her throat to finish her off. The last part of the second act, and all our ancillary characters are dead, setting up our final act. See, I told you there really wasn't much to that. So the final confrontation of the movie is Neil Gallagher versus Alex and Megan, and if the climax of this movie is anything, it's anticlimactic. Alex and Megan find everyone dead, situated around the table, and Neil's there, of course. He's monologuing. He explains he killed himself, but used alchemy to bring himself back. Then he yeets Jester the doll, and that pisses off the other puppets. Neil plays a tune on Alex and Megan's faces with some rights and lefts until Megan drops him with a vase to the back of the melon. Alex knocks Neil into the elevator with Pinhead, who Neil pulls his head off, and he's searching around trying to find it. Tunneler drops Neil whilst Pinhead reattaches his aforementioned melon, and then Neil tries to climb out the top of the elevator to avoid the two puppets inside, but Blade makes the cutoff and
I understood that reference.
And cuts Neil's fingers off. Neil falls into the elevator and is finished off unceremoniously by Leech Woman, Pinhead, Tunneler, and of course Blade. Cut to the next morning, and Alex is just leaving, and Megan is bidding him farewell. And they act as if nothing has transpired. And as if 5 people aren't dead, there wasn't evil puppets murdering people, and alchemy wasn't being used. But whatever, Megan heads upstairs, and we see she's used alchemy to bring Dana's dog, which was taxidermy the entire movie, back to life, and that's the end. No, I'm serious. That's the end. Good thing there's 5 of these in a spin-off trilogy, right?
Pack your things. We're leaving.
I'm not reviewing all that, don't worry. I just wanted to do this one because it's honestly much worse than I remember. And I thought one of the more memorable death scenes that came courtesy of Tunneler was in this one, but I believe it's in the second entry into the franchise. The puppet effects were cool, and I did enjoy seeing the evil little shits again, but the cast was honestly horrible outside of William Hickey. And whose idea was it to make Paul Le Mat a leading man? Do I recommend this movie or any of its sequels? Not if you're looking to be entertained or scared, but if you want end of the 80s schlock that you can laugh through, then this may be for you. Have you seen Puppet Master? And if you've watched this review, does it make you want to watch it, or does it make you want to skip it altogether if you've never seen it, or maybe even give it a rewatch? Who knows, you might own the entire collection. Toulon's Trunk, as it was called, I believe. But hey, I did kind of enjoy it. Like I said, it was bad, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. I mean, let's be honest, I'd rather watch this than She-Hulk or Batwoman ever again. Well, maybe not Batwoman. Anyway, do all the YouTube things, smash the like button for me. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, ding the bell for notifications, consider joining as a channel member. 2 tiers, we've got 2 more Harvey Wakuian producer tier, which you can become for $4.99 a month, or a Kazooian for $2.99 a month. Have a great Halloween, enjoy the content, there's a lot more coming up. I'm Etep Wakuian of The Place to Be Reviews. I've been here with all the yous. If I don't see you, have a great day, a pleasant tomorrow, and I'll catch you on the next one.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can